The small town of Cedarville was nestled deep within the heart of a dense, ancient forest, surrounded by towering trees and a sense of mystery. It was a typical summer evening in that quaint town, but two brothers, Mike and Robert, decided to embark on a berry-picking adventure. They were living on the outskirts of Cedarville, and the idea of collecting berries later than usual had a certain thrill to it. Mike, a curious and sprightly 12-year-old, and Robert, his 15-year-old older brother, had been berry picking many times before, but tonight was different. Their parents, concerned about their safety, had warned them to return home before 11 p.m. The brothers set out around 9 p.m., eager to fill their baskets with the sweet, juicy treasures of the forest. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the setting sun cast long shadows, and the sounds of nocturnal creatures began to fill the air. They decided to take a different route, one they had never explored before. This path led them to the oldest part of the forest, where the trees stood gnarled and ancient, like silent sentinels guarding their secrets. Everything seemed normal at first. The woods were quiet, and the moonlight filtered through the dense canopy, creating an eerie, enchanting atmosphere. Mike and Robert enjoyed the thrill of the unknown, feeling like explorers in their own backyard. But as they ventured further, they stumbled upon something that would change their lives forever. Amidst the trees and shadows, they discovered a dilapidated and ominous house. Its dark silhouette stood like a specter in the moonlight, beckoning them closer with an eerie allure. The brothers, driven by a mixture of curiosity and youthful bravado, decided to enter the forsaken dwelling. Inside the house, the scene was nothing short of horrifying. Clothes lay scattered across the floor, stained with what appeared to be blood. Guns were strewn about haphazardly, like forgotten toys of destruction. It was a scene that would have made the bravest soul shudder. This desolate place was a sanctuary for chaos and malice. Their exploration was abruptly interrupted by the sound of footsteps echoing through the hollow corridors of the house. Panic washed over them, and they realized they were not alone. The brothers, hearts pounding in their chests, had to make a quick decision. They chose to flee, and without a moment's hesitation, they leaped out of a window, shattering the glass as they went. They sprinted through the moonlit forest, branches scratching their skin and their breaths ragged. Fear drove them forward, and the chilling sensation of being pursued hung over them. The only thing on their minds was reaching the safety of their home. Finally, they burst through their front door, gasping for breath and tears in their eyes. The words spilled out in a rush as they recounted their horrifying ordeal to their parents, who listened with a mix of disbelief and concern. Their parents, experienced and wise, knew that something sinister was afoot in the ancient depths of the forest. Their father, a rugged and resolute man, had heard whispers about the forest's dark secrets. He shared the grim truth with his sons. People have gone missing in those woods, Mike and Robert. It's been happening for years. No one knows who or what is responsible, but it's a place best left untouched. From that night onward, the brothers never ventured into the oldest part of the forest again. The house and its eerie contents remained a chilling memory, a warning of the malevolent mysteries that lay hidden deep within the heart of Cedarville's woods. The forest held its secrets close, and for the people of Cedarville, it would forever remain a place of unease and whispered stories, a place where the innocent and the curious could easily be consumed by the ancient darkness that dwelled within. The decision to rent a villa in the heart of a forest came quite impulsively. Jake, Albert, William, Henry, and I were seeking a tranquil escape from our busy lives. We stumbled upon this seemingly beautiful and enticing villa, and the price was unbelievably cheap. It felt like the perfect opportunity to unwind and make unforgettable memories together. However, little did we know that our escape would turn into a spine-chilling forest horror story. The villa itself was a magnificent sight, nestled among the towering trees. Its architecture and decor were enchanting, with antique furnishings and a cozy fireplace that added to the rustic charm. Excitement buzzed in the air as we checked in, and the forest seemed inviting under the warmth of the setting sun. The first night was quite enjoyable. We lit a fire, shared stories, and savored a hearty home-cooked meal. The atmosphere was nothing short of magical, and our worries soon evaporated. We retired to our rooms, each decorated with a different theme, and fell into a peaceful slumber. However, our idyllic retreat took a terrifying turn during the second night. It was around midnight when William burst into our room, his face pale and eyes wide with fear. He claimed he had seen something moving in the forest outside his window. At first, we dismissed it as a trick of the imagination, but then we heard it too eerie rustling and strange, almost inhuman, noises that seemed to encircle the villa. Goosebumps prickled our skin as the fear began to set in. We decided to investigate, convinced that it was just an animal or a local superstition playing tricks on us. Armed with flashlights and our bravado, we ventured into the forest, only to be greeted by an eerie silence. It was as if the forest held its breath, waiting for something to happen. The moon cast eerie shadows on the gnarled tree trunks, and a sense of foreboding settled over us like a shroud. The strange occurrences continued throughout the night. Ghostly whispers seemed to linger in the air, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures moved in the periphery of our vision. Fear gnawed at us as we returned to the villa, locking every door and window in a futile attempt to ward off the ominous presence. We huddled together in the living room, clutching our flashlights and trying to make sense of the situation. The reviews we had read suddenly came rushing back to us, each one recounting similar eerie experiences in the forest. The feeling of dread grew stronger as we realized we were not alone in our fears. As the night wore on, we decided not to stay for the third night. The villa, with its charm, had become a place of darkness and terror. We packed our bags and left at the first light of dawn, the forest seeming to release its grip on us as we drove away. It was only when we returned to civilization that we shared our horrifying experience with others. The forest was infamous in the region, known for its sinister reputation, and the locals warned us to stay away. We were not the first to fall victim to the forest's malevolent aura, and we certainly wouldn't be the last. Our forest retreat had transformed from a promising holiday to a nightmarish encounter with the unknown. The shadowy figures, the eerie sounds, and the overwhelming feeling of dread still haunt our memories, serving as a chilling reminder of the inexplicable horrors that can lurk in the most unsuspecting of places. In a remote, secluded corner of a quaint town, there was a house that had recently become the new residence of a 17-year-old boy named Jack. Jack had been left alone for the weekend as his parents had gone to visit his grandparents, who lived in another city. His parents had decided to stay with his grandparents for a few months, leaving Jack alone to experience the eerie solitude of their new house, nestled close to the edge of a dark and mysterious forest. From the moment they moved in, Jack had never been quite comfortable with the new house. It was an old, creaky structure with an unsettling air about it. The towering trees of the forest cast long, ominous shadows that seemed to reach out toward the house. The forest had a reputation in town, as locals whispered about strange happenings, unexplained disappearances, and ghostly apparitions. Jack was never a superstitious person, but the stories surrounding the forest did nothing to ease his discomfort. As the sun set on Saturday evening, Jack found himself battling the anxiety that had been building within him all day. He tried to distract himself by playing video games in his dimly lit room. The eerie quiet of the house was punctuated by the occasional strange sound from the forest outside. Jack was constantly aware of the proximity of the woods, and the unease it brought him was palpable. It was during a particularly intense game that he heard a series of loud and frantic barks, jolting him from his virtual world. Realizing that he had neglected to feed his faithful dog, Max, Jack felt a pang of guilt and headed downstairs to the kitchen to get his dog some food. As he descended the stairs, he couldn't help but notice the eerie silence that had settled over the house, making the creaking of the old wood floors seem louder than ever. With a bowl of kibble in hand, he stepped out into the night. The moon cast an eerie glow on the scene outside, and the rustling of leaves in the wind added to the haunting atmosphere. Jack followed the sound of Max's barking to his doghouse at the back of the property. His unease deepened when he noticed the rickety fence surrounding the doghouse appeared to have been broken. Approaching the doghouse, Jack's heart began to race. He saw no sign of Max. Instead, there was a chilling sight before him, a pool of blood staining the ground and a set of enormous, human-like footprints imprinted in the soil. They were unnaturally large and looked fresh. Panic surged through him, and he called out for Max in a trembling voice, but there was no reply. Desperation and fear gripped Jack as he searched the dark surroundings with a racing heart. He felt like he was being watched, as though unseen eyes were following his every move. The eerie silence of the forest was suddenly disrupted by a distant, bone-chilling howl, a sound like nothing he had ever heard before. It sent shivers down his spine. Terrified and unable to find his beloved dog, Jack sprinted back to the house, locking the doors behind him. He called the police and explained the disturbing events that had unfolded. The authorities arrived shortly and, along with Jack, began a thorough search of the forest, conducting a relentless investigation that lasted for several days. Despite their extensive efforts, Max was never found. The footprints in the ground, the bloodstains, and the chilling howl remained unexplained. Jack was left traumatized by the ordeal, and his parents decided it was best to leave the unsettling house behind and move to a new place, far away from the creepy forest and its mysteries. The experience haunted Jack for a long time, and he was never quite the same. He would always wonder about what lurked in the depths of that forest and what had taken his loyal companion, Max, on that fateful night. The mysterious disappearance of his dog remained a chilling, unsolved mystery in the town, a reminder of the eerie and supernatural presence that dwelled in the heart of the forbidding forest.